I'm Thomas, and today you join me with the 2024 McLaren 750S, so stay tuned for this video. So I'm going to give you a walk around of this fantastic McLaren 750S. Now the one behind me today is spec'd for just over £267,000. Now this sits just above the Artura, so it is a V8 powered non-hybridised rear-wheel drive supercar, 0 to 60 in about 2.5 seconds. So come with me to have a quick look at the vehicle. Now the front end of this is kind of like a heavy facelift of the 720S. So what that means is we've got the really slim headlights inside here with the kind of hovering indicator. This is, you're able to put your hand in because it is a vent behind there, and that air goes right through up the door into the rear engine. We do have these little vents again up front where the front boot is. It is pretty big, and I've put some overlays of that when we're looking inside. As you can see, we've got the famous McLaren doors today going up, which is just an iconic McLaren touch. And if you're not sure what McLaren you're looking at, you can look at the sides. It does say 750S on the side here. Now we do have these Pirelli rimmed alloy wheels in the two-tone, the kind of rotating design. And we've got a red brake caliper. They are 19-inch wheels, which is not too bad a size, I guess, for a supercar, and it's not one of these 2024 24-inch wheels. Now you may be aware that McLaren uses their carbon tubs as a basis for most of their performance range, and this car is no different, so you're able to see the exposed carbon up here. Now one of the cool features on this 750S is the fact that it's got the tonal cover, and you're able to raise and lower it. When you lift up the door, there's two switches here, and that means you can raise and put some storage in there if the roof is up. Just be careful if you've got something in there when you're putting the roof down so you don't smash the glass. So one interesting kind of design element, I guess, is with the air vents going through the door. When you lift the doors up, sometimes you get some stones shoving down the bottom. Interesting thing, but we do have this little radiator here that is nice and warm and toasted to touch. And then we've got the little reflector on the back bumper. Now, one of the differences again with the 750 over the 720 is this spoiler is around 30% larger than what you've seen on the outgoing 720S. Now, also if you're behind one of these, the taillight design is similar, but what you're going to notice is we've got a central exhaust instead of two exhausts like you've seen on the 720. Out with that, there's not too much else to talk about back here. It's very McLaren. Do know a lot of it's exposed. So what's quite interesting is during the experience of the McLaren, we do have little stones that are gathering down below in here. So they must be getting kicked up and they're gathering at the bottom down here. So that is a little bit, you're going to have to get your hoover out and clean that out. But this car does have parking sensors and cameras all round. So we're going to give it the caveat there for technology. And all this, as you can see, is kind of like a hollowed out material. So it is lightweight and exposed, a little bit like the Volkswagen VX 220. On the right hand side of the steering wheel, we do have your front release. We've got your door lock, and then we've got a little nose lifter there, which takes, I believe, 4 seconds to lift the car up if you're going over a speed bump. It does go down again if you're going over 30 miles per hour, so make sure you're keeping your speed down. So down here we've got your headlight switch, as you can leave in auto, or you can turn it all the way around if you want, and then there's your fog lights. You may notice on the steering wheel of the McLaren we do not have any buttons, so McLaren have purposely designed this vehicle to be kind of driver focused, and there's a lack of buttons on the steering wheel, unlike maybe some other brands that have all the buttons on the steering wheel. McLaren are giving you some buttons in the centre here. Now what is interesting is you've got a drive, neutral and reverse, but there's no individual parking button to descend. So what you do is you push it into neutral and then you engage the parking brake, and that's how the car will be stopped and then park. It does also have automatic start-stop defeat down the middle there, so in a car like this you might just not want the car turning on and off. And up on the right hand side here we do have your modes to change the car, and on the left hand side is your comfort and sports. Up. That V8 is going to rumble into life. Now we do have a new infotainment screen here versus the outgoing 720S. It's pretty fast and responsive, so you're able to get things on your phone, your sat nav, etc. So voice over Thomas here, as I didn't want you to hear too much of that engine drone while I was chatting. So on the centre here we do have 3 buttons: an arrow button, an avocado button, which can be used as like a favourites button for a feature, and a launch button, which obviously I'm not going to be using today, but keep that for the track. Now, on the top of the bezel around the driver's instrument display, you're going to notice that these little bits where you can toggle with your finger. Now you can twist that to select between various modes, such as like race, track, comfort, etc. And one of the cool features is when you're twisting that, it actually changes the
what you see for the fuel gauge. So you do get range when you're on kind of around the town, but when you change it to track, it gives you a percentage. And I guess that makes sense because when you're on the track, you kind of want to know how much fuel you've got left when you're doing laps versus your range is going to dramatically change because if you're at full throttle, I'd imagine you're probably going to get what 8 miles to a gallon or something. So this McLaren is fitted with these racing bucket seats. Now they do have a nice blend of Alcantara and leather on them, however they are a little bit tight for my figure. What is quite cool are these red seat belts. So there is no glove box in the McLaren, so that's a bit unfortunate, but we do have a little bit of storage in between the seats under the armrest. It's the perfect size for some corn. Now, in between the two seats, we do have a little bit of storage with a net. It's ideal again to hold your mini McLaren. This is a little Matchbox car that I picked up of the 720S. Quite a cool feature. Anyway, with a little bit of storage behind the seats. This car is also fitted with the electrochromic roof, which is a £7,500 option. Allows you to change the glass transparency. We also have a 360 camera. It's pretty high definition in addition to the reversing camera that is in the instrument bezel. Now, out in the wild, the McLaren attracts so much attention, primarily from young kids like pointing, screaming, running down the street trying to take a photograph. And then when you're out on the road, I've never really been in a car where people either don't let you out or try and cut you off. It's a very unusual experience being in a McLaren out on the road. However, the car itself is very capable. It is rear-wheel drive, so just be a bit careful when you're driving in the rain. However, that power is ready to get deployed at the moment's notice, and at a touch of the throttle, you can feel the acceleration and getting pinned back in your seat. Visibility out front is good, but because you've got that tonneau cover and the kind of firewall behind you there isn't really anything to see directly behind you when you overlook. You can put a little window down between the two seats, which is quite nice, even with the roof up, sorry. You can have that down, which is a nice little touch as well.
So thank you so much for watching this video on McLaren 750S. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel below, and I'll see you next video.